know, it's one thing to record them on a demo and you're like, I think that sounds cool, I think that works. But to really make sure it feels right and it is right, you know, you got to get together as a band.
I think the chemistry is just there. I think we kind of all know and anticipate what each guy's going to do, what each guy can do.
The drums down, the guitar down, and the melody lines down, David then starts thinking of lyrics.
I'm a big believer in the vibe of the music and the feel of it. You know? How the song makes you feel musically should dictate what it is to be about. And so if you start with something that has meaning, but the music doesn't support the meaning, well, what good is it?
Yeah, you got a really cool grooving verse, and then all of a sudden,
we like to do stuff with as little limitations as possible.
Said, why not go ahead and write a song from the perspective of a girl in a relationship where she's abused, but it's like that she's thinking about killing him, like you see on the news. It's like, okay, one more time.
Look inside, see what has become of her, hiding within again. Can she pick herself up again? It's just too difficult and arduous to let go.
My method of leaving lyrics to the very last thing, I mean, even to the point where I have the scat pattern, where it's basically just speaking gibberish and no words, but having a rhythm and a melody for the vocal or prior to writing any lyric. And then you have to go ahead and find words that fit the rhythm and the melody that you've already laid down, not only in your head, probably on tape, on a scratch track too.
But the tough part, like you said, is coming up with something that rhymes. Still keeps the concept of the song, and then number 2 still rhymes, and then number 3 fits in the rhythmic pattern of the fucking melody.
And part of that comes from the fact that I feel so strongly about rhythm in general. And so the pocket of the vocal, from a musical perspective, has to really lock in with the rest of what's going on rhythmically, guitar riff-wise, drum-wise, so on and so forth.
I mean, I think everybody's going to get the impression from this that I'm pretty jaded from bad experiences in relationships, hate world politics, and pro, you know, U.S. soldier.
It's been the case for the past 3 records. First it wasn't, because yeah, you got your whole career to write your first record, so if you don't have your lyrics ready by the time you hit the fucking studio, there's something wrong with you.
My blood is cold as ice, or so I have been told.
Once we get into the studio, we always set up a little, you know, side room for us too to do additional production.
All the pre-pro needs to be done outside.
So we can have, you know, David in the other room tracking vocals.
Laying the scratch vocal in there is actually hugely important. I mean, it enables them to figure out if everything's working together.
Mark Fon's ammunition, just a time bomb ticking inside. No rope in the hopeless, I can see the pieces all laid on the run of me.
It's the final piece of the puzzle that kind of gets laid in there, and we get to see where if anything rubs, if anything's funky rhythmically.
Through this somehow, defying the curse that is taking hold. Never surrender, I'll never be overcome.
I'll just sit there with Mikey. I'll put down a scratch track on guitars for him to play along to. It allows me to throw opinions at him too without me having to just sit there and play my guitar over and over. I could really focus on what he's doing.
Just the simple kicks and then come in with the beat. You know, so
it's nice to be able to sit in that other room outside of the control room and just really dissect the part and focus on every little nuance and every little part of his performance.
See if it translates to live, kid. I think that's pretty much it. This record was our first time self-producing.
The label was always cool and cooperative from day one. They allowed us the chance and the opportunity to take a stab at self-producing.
the label and everybody's excited. Everybody knows that we're in and we're working, and they're looking forward to it.
I think we're all pretty comfortable with it. Even though coming off of 2 #1 albums and having the first 3 albums be very successful for us.
And after 3 records, it's just a matter of like, well, we learned it, and we'd like to try it.
So this is a very important step in the recording process for us. It's our first time in our careers we're trying to self-produce. We finished the first batch of 5 songs, sent them out to our label, and we're waiting to hear whether or not they approve. If they think that we blew it, when we suck, they're going to bring in a producer and we might have to start from scratch.
You're always waiting to see what their impression is going to be. It's kind of like seeing what your grade is on your exam that you studied for. It's nerve-wracking, you know. What did I get? How'd I do? Some people can function around a whole bunch of people and still be creative and still be able to flow. And I can do improvisational kind of stuff left and right. But in order for me to really refine what I'm doing, I need to have peace. And it's basically just me in front of my stereo with the burned CD of the music ideas, going over them again and again and again and again.
I go back to my cave to try and finish up these lyrics.
David likes to track in the dark.
I like the conditions to be as dark as possible when I'm tracking. Always. Just enough light to see whatever lyrics I need to look at. I need to really kind of shut everything out. I need to forget that I'm in a studio. I need to go back to where my head was at when I wrote the lyrics and try and feel them as much as I can.
Don't tell me I cannot go when the wound and refuses to mend. Deliver me from all of this. All of you to awaken my head.
I think it's probably more challenging to deliver a vocal performance when you have a lot of eyes in the control room watching you do that. You know, some people don't mind when there's people in there watching. Some people like to have their moment to, you know, release that, and you have to respect that.
Especially when you're doing the actual tracking, vibe is really important, and that's just the way he did it.
When we go in and we enter the studio, the songs are very well prepared.
That's right, Criminal. Track.
Structurally, arrangement-wise,
They're very close to completion. We never relied on just going in there with a few ideas and just trying to wing it and see what kind of studio magic could happen.
I mean, this is the record. I don't want to have, I mean, yeah, it can be done this way, but it can maybe be done this way better. So let's
Just to make sure.
yeah.
Okay, here's the word. It's either going to be good or bad.
Shut up.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, so guess what? That wasn't the phone call. So now you'll have to stay tuned, as we do, to find out what the deal is. What the fuck?
Interesting title so far. The Night, Perfect Insanity. Divide, The Curse, Enough, Inside the Fire, Deceiver, Haunted. I love it in that song, and I think it needs to be in these songs. The electronic thing. And we can bring it back.
Duly noted.
I really, really, truly think so.